So I want to thank everyone for mostly all your hard work on the pro bono front. And what I'm going to start out with is first an introduction, and then share with you a proclamation, and then I'll share a few words about our city. And I'll try and keep that all pretty short. Thank you. So firstly, I want to introduce our city's CAO, who also happens to be a lawyer. Sarita Nair is here. Give her a round of applause. Okay, and the city sometimes does proclamations. I don't know if you've all seen this. We have a proclamation for today. So it is in honor, of course, of everyone in this room and the work that you've done for the citizens of Albuquerque and statewide, of course. And this is kind of what it looks like. It's fancy cursive. And I do love these, though. They actually have a wax seal, which is like really cool. So I'm going to present this to probably one of you too, if you'd like. So come on up, and I'm going to read it out to folks. People might have noticed if they read the journal article about me, but I'm dyslexic, so reading is not my specialty. So I'm going to try and do this here, and we're going to get through it. This is for you, and let me read it to everyone. Whereas the New Mexico Supreme Court Commission on Access to Justice has reported that less than 20% of legal needs to low-income New Mexicans are being met. And whereas, due to the lack of significant staff attorney programs, New Mexico's legal aid delivery system must rely heavily on volunteer lawyers. And whereas, according to the New Mexico Rule Book of Professional Conduct, every lawyer, regardless of professional prominence or workload, should participate in or otherwise support the provision of legal services to the disadvantaged. And whereas the volunteer attorney program works closely with the State Bar of New Mexico, local judicial pro bono committees, and other legal service providers to coordinate the delivery of high-quality pro bono legal services through the direct representation, individual client counseling, and other innovative strategies. And whereas the volunteer attorney program is thankful for all of its partners and volunteers for their pro bono contributions that provide access to justice to all New Mexico communities. And now, therefore, I, Tim Keller, Mayor of the City of Albuquerque, do hereby proclaim February 13th, 2018 as Pro Bono Appreciation Day. Thank you so much. All right, well, I thought actually that was, that proclamation actually said a lot. And so I want to echo those words and share a little bit about our city. And also can't help, I just got to tell you, so I cannot stand reading those things. But I want to share that because I do, if anyone has kids or dyslexic or whatever, that is like about as far as I can go on reading. So just as a fun fact, take care of them learning disabilities. But also as a fun story, I was lucky at the age of 27, I relearned how to read. It was an amazing program in grad school that was totally different than, sort of the way little kids read. So before that, there's no way I could have gotten through that at all. And the other reason why I thought of this story is because I do have someone in the audience who's known me since kindergarten. And so I blame all of this on him. One of my closest friends my whole life, Carlos Martinez. Give us a wave. Okay, but what I would like to do is a couple of things. Number one, I want to share with you a little bit about where we're at in the city of Albuquerque. And I know that many of you are from around the state or neighboring cities and so forth. But I think that's core to actually what I want to share with you today. When I was running for this office, I had 56 debates. And those of you who've been in the courtroom and been in mock trial and all of this, you probably would be excellent at those debates. But 56 is a lot. But you also learn a lot. And so I listened a lot of what I was hearing from folks who were asking questions in those debates. Communities that were going through challenges in those debates. And there were a couple of things that stuck out. And I think the first was, as great and as special as our city is, as we know, we have strength and resilience that transcends centuries, going back to time immemorial. And that is a special thing about Albuquerque. But I also learned, and I think we all know this, we have deep challenges. And many of those challenges are challenges that you work on as part of your pro bono work. Whether it's low-income folks going through mortgage situations, whether it's family law situations, whether it's immigrant situations. We have a huge section in our city, a huge section of the population that is deeply challenged. And in many ways, they've been left behind in terms of modern Albuquerque. Now, we've created essentially, too, a city that I think is divided across a number of lines. We know, unfortunately, like the rest of America, it's divided across ethnic and income lines. We know we're also divided even in this notion of what is our community. I heard time and time again from folks, and especially, frankly, other elected officials, who would say, well, I know we've got a lot of challenges in Albuquerque, but, the legislature has to fix X, Y, and Z. Or the court system isn't doing what they have to do to keep our community safe. Or, city council's got to do this, et cetera, et cetera. To me, that kind of language and that kind of rhetoric is part of the problem. It has been what has been dividing our community now for years. Because I think we've forgotten the fact that we actually are one city. We might live in Los Ranchos, or we might live in High Desert, or we might live in Rio Rancho. But at the end of the day, we are Albuquerque. We are one community. And we see this whenever we leave New Mexico, or frankly, whenever we leave the Albuquerque area. No one cares if you're from a small, like the South Valley versus the city, right? The minute you leave, you are from Albuquerque. And this actually, I think, is something we have to return to. We do have a shared identity. It just happens to be called Albuquerque. But we need to own that identity. We need to understand that we're all brought together here by one of two fundamental things, if not both. Either our rich cultural heritage and that notion of diversity that has been with us literally for centuries, or it's because of the natural beauty that surrounds us. And when we put those two things together, one of those things is why we all live here. It's either our family, it's the diversity, it's the history, it's the culture, or it's that natural beauty and the opportunities that are associated with either one. Understanding that thesis is the first step, I think, to making an Albuquerque that we believe in, an Albuquerque that can be the best self that it actually is. So I believe we've got to return to that core narrative in everything that we do. And that also means owning the idea that we are one community called Albuquerque. And that means we are not 9 city council districts fighting for one particular stop sign in our neighborhood. We're not the county commission doing behavioral health and the city saying that's the county's problem and vice versa. We're not a DA's office or a court system pointing fingers at each other. We have to know that we all are in this together, and that means we have to help each other. We've got to do our part. I know what I've got to do as the mayor of Albuquerque, and I want to try and help all those other different groups with what they have to do, but I'm not going to blame them any longer. And that also has to do with our school system. We know we have lots of challenges in our school system. And as a state senator, I ran dozens of bills trying to fix our school system. As state auditor, I held them accountable. Everyone loves to hold everyone accountable. What we've actually got to start doing is doing something about it. Actually doing something to help people instead of just complaining and holding people accountable for not doing their job. Let's do our job to make this a special city. And that actually is why I am such a believer in what each of you already does when it comes to this program. Because there are many programs, many nonprofits, many different organizations that are doing their part thanklessly every day. And when they need legal representation, many of those same people, many of those same groups are relying on each of you in this room. And so this is one of the few rooms I get to talk to where I can thank you for actually taking action when it comes to this notion that we're one city, when it comes to this notion that we're going to do our part to help. And, I think this plays out in a number of areas, but one Albuquerque also means we're standing up for folks regardless of where they came from, regardless of what their documentation status is, and regardless of what someone who doesn't even live here thinks we should do with them. I'm referring to our president, by the way. So that's why I believe in standing up for everyone who lives here, regardless of their history. And I want to thank each and every one of you for doing that as well in every way that you help with our pro bono legal program. And so I think let me wrap things up really with this. We need your help, even more. I will also make a pitch that if there's one thing that pays better than pro bono, it's the city of Albuquerque. We're hiring. So if you want to make less money and just consider everything pro bono and still get a stipend, or however you want to kind of justify it, come on over, because the city attorney's office is hiring. We've got lots of openings. So believe it or not, that is, it's funny and it's true. So talk to Sarita after if you're interested, or hop on NeoGov, which is our website. We also would love to contract with folks for a menial fee to actually help support our office. So we use a ton of contracted services, but we're looking at reshuffling those services quite a bit in terms of folks who are, for example, very experienced at dealing with things like foreclosure and immigration. And so these are the kinds of things that you can help us with and help our community with, even beyond the work and the hours that you're already putting in. And so we would love for you to essentially join the team and take it up a step, one notch further, to actually help our city be the Albuquerque that we know we are. Be one community that supports each other and that celebrates all of our richness and all of our diversity. And so I hope over the coming years we get to continue to do this. And if there's any way we can even expand the current pro bono program with whatever we're doing at the city, please let us know, because it is so core to everyone that I was so grateful to be elected by. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for taking care of Albuquerque and New Mexico, and for the opportunity to speak with you today. Thank you so much.